Welcome to The Peaceful Truth, the podcast where we talk about feminism, feminist topics, and all issues in between. Today, we are super excited to have another guest, our second guest, and this is Amanda Nickel, which is my sister-in-law.
I'm so excited.
Me too.
Welcome.
Hi, guys.
She's one of our listeners, and she is just a super awesome feminist, and she has some stories to share, so we wanted to share her wisdom.
Yes,
Are you super wise, Amanda?
I wouldn't say so. But thank you for having me.
Awesome. Okay, so I guess let's get started. How was your guys' week? How was your week, Megs? It's somebody's birthday week.
It's my birthday. I'm 28. It's like a interesting time in my life because I'm not 30, but then I'm like so close to the brink and I don't want to turn 30.
The dirty 30.
I don't want to turn
You don't want to do it?
30.
What happens when you turn 30?
You have to grow up. I don't know. I don't know what happens when you turn 30. But
something different.
Yeah. So I turned 28 and I had a really, really, really good birthday. And yesterday we went to Discovery Park, me, Amanda, Jeff, and Desmond, and the dogs. Mm-hmm. And we did the 3-mile trail, which is my type of hiking because there is no incline whatsoever. And
cool.
So it's my type of hike.
Perfect. Not that much effort, but it's kind of pretty outside. So,
but you're
exactly. And then we went to Ma'am Noon's and had lunch. And then we went to Molly Moon's, my all-time favorite place in this entire world. And I got the blueberry lemon cheesecake. And for all Seattleites, you must go and get it ASAP. And then we went to RN74 for dinner, and we had lots of good food, good wine. We were there for like a super long time. So it's always fun to have a long dinner.
Awesome. Well, Amanda, how was your week?
Well, I got to come down to Seattle and celebrate Megan's birthday with her. So that was a really fun day yesterday. Earlier in the week, lots of work, unfortunately. But then last week, I got my husband and I went on a long hike and did some backpacking. And then I bought a new bike that's really cute. And it's a bike that just needs a basket, and I can't wait.
Cool. What do you do for work?
I am a psychiatric nurse, so I work with clients struggling with mental health and addiction and try and support them on their journey to recovery.
That is an amazing career.
It really is. And what's really sad is that we don't have that in America.
Yeah. No, but mental health is super important, and it's super important to be aware and to talk about it. We try to talk about it a little bit.
Yeah, we do.
We try to. Okay, cool. So how did my week go? I'm trying to think what I did this week. I'm having it right before we went on this podcast. I was like, Desmond, what'd you do yesterday? And he was like, and Desmond's Megan's partner. And he's like, I don't know.
I was like, what do you mean you don't know? We did like 10 hours a day of stuff. And he was like, I can't remember.
Oh, I know some cool stuff. Oh, Meg, I went to yoga again this week. I used to go a lot when I lived in Colorado after school because they actually had this free yoga studio where you just donated like however much. I guess it wasn't free, but it was like you donated however much you could afford, like even $1. Mm-hmm. And so I went there a lot. And so then I went this week and it was so great. I loved it. At first, I was super skeptical because it's hot in the room no matter what. It's just kind of a really warm room in their studio.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's common for all yoga places, but like the people came out like dripping in sweat, and there was a ton of people coming out of there, and it was a small room, and I was like, I might leave because I was just like, I don't know.
Intimidated?
No, it wasn't intimidated. It's just like, I hate BO and I hate in confined spaces and in human spaces, like the BO of other people. I was like, no. And so I was like, should I leave? It's super obvious though why I leave. And then I went in and it was really warm, and at first I like was breathing through my mouth because I was so nervous to smell BO. But then finally I just let it go and I got calm. But I was like having like legitimate anxiety. Maybe she can psychoanalyze me as to why I'm having this crazy anxiety about confined spaces and BO, but I was like freaking out. But I got through it and it was great, and I want to go back again.
Did you go by yourself?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah. So I do that stuff a lot. I like kind of exploring by myself. But so I went there. Work was great. I got a lot of stuff done. It's starting to pick up at work. I'm a video producer, and my shoots are starting to pick up more and more, which is awesome. I love being busy. And then yesterday I went to the Ram, which is one of my favorite places. And then on Saturday, I went and got an eye appointment and some new glasses.
Oh, nice.
They're kind of like 60s vibes.
Oh,
Cute.
cool.
Yeah. And so I got those, and then I hung out with Chelsea and our friends. And we
Perfect.
watched 22 Jump Street. Have you seen that movie?
No, is it funny?
It's super funny.
21 Jump Street was funny.
Yeah, the second one's hilarious.
Oh, good.
So yeah. It was good.
Amanda, can we talk more about your hiking adventure, because you have some really good stories from it?
Oh yeah. Sorry.
Well, so Jeff and I, my husband and I, went on a hike with two of our friends, Grace and Jordan. And Jordan is an avid hiker. I think he goes every weekend. He knows everything to do in the bush that I don't know how to do. And so we went to a place called Elfin Lakes, just near Whistler in British Columbia. And it's beautiful. We went last year. We're trying to make it an annual thing. The views are amazing of the mountains when you're at the top. But last weekend was around when the smoke was really bad. So it wasn't a very good decision, I don't think, that we went hiking. In fact, there was articles online about saying we shouldn't go hiking.
So for those of you who aren't from the PNW, there are terrible, terrible, terrible wildfires in BC. And so all of the smoke is coming down and settling in Seattle, and then Vancouver sounds like it's maybe multiply that by 10, and that's how bad Vancouver is.
No way.
Yeah.
And so she was covered in smoke.
Yeah, there was air quality advisories, and when we
you went hiking.
I know. We did debate over breakfast that morning, but we thought, like, okay, like, we're gonna go for 2 nights. We'll try it. If anybody feels horrible, we'll head down. So we went up, and it was terrible. It was one of those things where everyone tries to have a good time, but everyone was miserable.
Everyone's faking it. They're like, yeah, guys, I'm having a blast.
This is so fun.
Yeah. I've made the comparison when talking with Meghan about it yesterday, just about, when you approach farm animals and they're covered in flies?
Yeah.
That was us. The smoke kept the bugs so close to the ground that they were just swarming us.
Oh,
they were
literally.
getting stuck behind
I thought you were
like,
thinking of a metaphor with cows somehow.
No, literally,
God.
like I couldn't wear my sunglasses because the flies were getting trapped behind my glasses. And we just thought when we got to the top it would improve, but it did not. So we only lasted one night. We headed back down, and we ended up just going to House Street Brewing and having beers instead. So that was a little better.
But the sad part is that they had this trip planned for so long, and then the smoke happened, obviously after the trip was planned. And so it's one of those things where it's like you don't want to cancel, but at the same time, you probably should.
Yeah, so we had bought some new backpacking gear too, some new bags and mats. So we just need to go again. We just need to.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
still, it's like a bummer that it's kind of a waste.
Yeah. But it was good bonding, lots of laughs,
Good
commiserating.
story. You got to tell it on a podcast.
We got to commiserate with all the other hikers that we would see who were also trying to pretend like it was fun, but we all agreed no fun was had. Yeah.
And they have you ever gotten bit by a horsefly, Kens? I don't think we have them in Texas. I think
we do.
We do?
Yeah.
And it hurts really bad, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
And there were
I've
horseflies
gotten bitten by
biting
one.
them all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. The first bite, be like, bye.
Yeah. Jeff
Going back down the mountain.
I counted on one of Jeff's shoulders 16 bites
Oh
on
my
just one
God.
shoulder. Yeah.
Poor
it was
dude.
Yeah, it was bad.
Rough.
But so yeah, we'll go again. Yeah.
So, moral of the story, get those fires out up there.
Yeah, and just yesterday was the first day we saw blue sky, which was really nice in about 2 weeks. So
Yeah, we haven't even... I saw Rainier for the first time in a while yesterday.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Because of all this.
Rainier's our little volcano up here.
It's so sad. I'm really sad about these fires.
Oh.
It's devastating for Canada. Two, it's like, and this is a very minor thing, so I don't mean to take it,
Downplay it.
but like Seattle doesn't get a lot of summer, so it's kind of
Yeah.
a bummer that 3 or 4 weeks of the summer is smoke.
Covered in smoke.
Yeah.
So we talked a little bit about your career. Do you think that your career defines you as a person?
I don't. I'm really making a conscious effort in the last couple of years to make sure that I not define by my career, because I feel like when I was younger, I was so career driven and that was the focus. And now I'm trying to make it more about life and how, the things that I enjoy in my life are sort of supplemented and obviously like paid for by my work, but certainly trying to pull the focus away from my work. So I work with a lot of nurses who absolutely feel like their nursing career defines them, and I enjoy what I do. I love working with my clients, and I feel blessed to hear their stories and be a part of that journey. But certainly, it is still work, and so just trying to compartmentalize, keep that at work, and then fill my life with more things that bring me joy than simply just work.
I have so I have an issue doing that, and I think it's because I feel like I have to overcompensate as a feminist. Mm-hmm. Like, is that why you think we're so defined by it? Because I feel like I have to like be defined and be strong in my career to overcompensate and to say that I'm strong. Mm-hmm. Because but I feel like it shouldn't be that way. I should just live life as a person, not thinking about that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I wholeheartedly agree. I think I'm not sure if it's myself or women in general, but just the need to sort of impress people by our career success or, right. Job titles that sound impressive. And I think I'm just really, trying to focus on or trying to relearn the fact that like my career success isn't impressive to anybody else except for maybe like the people I work with at the most. But I mean, we were talking last night and just saying like, my husband, like, not terribly impressed by my career success. I think he's, he's happy to hear about it and it's interesting to him. But I think if I were to sink my teeth into something else, he would be equally interested and impressed. And so when I'm trying to look for like, love and connectedness in my life, work doesn't do that for me. And, I love even my colleagues, but they don't do it for me either. And it's just about trying to find that elsewhere. Yeah.
Really cool. That's a good insight.
Kenz, I think we maybe put it on ourselves and we're like making our careers out to be something bigger than they are. Do you know what I mean? We're putting this pressure on ourselves to like be defined by being a journalist or being a CPA or whatever. I
feel like in my head, like I like want to make a footprint in the world because actually, and I don't know what your religious beliefs are, Amanda, but I feel like in my eyes, I'm agnostic. So the one chance I get is like making heaven on earth, Mm-hmm. And so like I'm defined more in my head by what I do while I'm here, I feel like. Mm. And so I feel like I have to make a big impact while I'm here to be a good person and to leave some sort of mark, if that makes any sense.
That makes a lot of sense.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think the drive to do that is huge. I think especially for our generation, it feels like, I don't know what I'm trying to say here, but
I think I get it. Yeah.
The impact of trying to make the most and be as present as we can be in what we're doing.
I think that's healthier, though.
I hope so.
Me what too. Do you think as a psychiatric nurse? She's probably like, Kenzie, I'm not like a genius about every mind. Yeah. I'm like, but I want to know everything.
Tell me why I do everything that I do.
I can't do that. But certainly I think there's value in just like listening to what feels good for us. And I think it's a hard lesson to learn and one that certainly I'm still learning. And I don't think I don't feel like in my experience growing up was taught to us enough to listen to ourselves and our feelings and what feels good for us and our bodies. And it's more about like, what do you want to be? And it's more focused on external
rewards.
Maybe that's why. Maybe that's another reason.
Yeah.
Of another factor.
I don't know. Yeah. But certainly I think it's a hard thing to unlearn. It's a hard thing to disregard. We were talking about career changes and all of a sudden if you weren't to be a CPA, like what that would mean. And as much as I don't feel like I'm defined by my career, I do like being able to say that I'm a psychiatric nurse.
Right. And like I stress, because I love being a video producer and I now create educational content, which I think education is one of the most important things on earth. But like I still like feel the need to be like, I'm also a journalist.
Right. To like throw it in there like,
yeah,
I didn't give up on this or.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, deep stuff, guys.
Deep. We're getting deep again. Okay, so let's see. We're gonna do a flash. Should we just do every other question? Where you ask one question, I ask the other.
Okay.
Okay, cool. Or did you have a thing in mind?
No.
Oh, okay, cool. Okay, great. So flashbacks to prior episodes. So tell us a time that a woman empowered you.
I was thinking about this one, and at first I was going to give sort of an answer about like I don't feel like there's any one woman who empowered me, but I feel like lots of women have. And then I was talking with my husband, and I'll take us way back to, I think I was I in grade 10? How old does that make you? Like 15?
Would that be, I think that'd be 15 or 16.
Yeah, so I was like 15 or 16 in high school, and I was, childhood drama. I was trying to, one of my friends was getting picked on by a group of girls, and so I was trying to be peacekeeper and explain the situation. I just felt like there was like a miscommunication between the two of them, and I was just trying to sort it out, thinking that would help things. It didn't. I ended up getting in a bit of a fist fight with the other girl. And
note to self, don't mess with Amanda.
Well, no. So here's the thing, like growing up, very quiet, didn't really like have much of a voice, never got into fights. Like this was not my thing. It was so out of character. So I was terrified, but like I actually physically was backed into a corner, and then just like, I don't know, instincts took over. And so we got into a bit of a fight, and I was terrified after, because I had never been in trouble in school, and this was happening like in our like high school foyer. Do you guys use that word, foyer? Foyer? Yeah.
Yeah.
The American.
Foyer.
Foyer sounds like super classy, so keep using it. We're just like, foyer.
And so then immediately the principal came out, and we both had to go to the principal's office and got sent home with like suspension slips. And I was terrified to tell like my parents first.
Yeah.
I made my best friend Lindsay go home with me, so that I don't know, I thought that would be like armor for me. And anyways, so fast forward to the next day, I had to go to school and meet with the school counselor, and her name was and she actually like said like, hey, from a school counselor perspective, I have to say what you did was wrong. You shouldn't have done it. She's like, as a woman and as a mom, what you did was great. She's like, you stood up for yourself. Like, you really held your own. And she's like, I don't think that girl's going to mess with you anymore.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was the first time in my life that somebody had actually like said to me like, hey, you can stand up for yourself and it'll be okay. So
That's so cool.
Yeah.
That's a good story.
So on episode 2, we talked about catcalling, and for some reason, people seem to really like that episode. People really like catcalling, and they really like episode 6, where we're just like, bah, our lives are crazy, and we did crazy stuff in our 20s.
Yeah, Cody, my best friend, posed me an interesting question. He goes, if the man was super attractive.
Oh, and catcalling, would it make a difference?
Yeah, I don't think it would. For me, it wouldn't. Genuinely, I'm being serious.
I
would
kind
be
of
still
am too.
pissed.
Yeah. So I have a interesting catcalling story. I texted you, Kens, about it.
Yeah.
So I was walking Cooper and minding my own business, and this man stops and looks me up and down. This was like 2 days ago. And he goes, oh my gosh, I'm so horny.
Yeah.
That one
Ew.
is
It
nasty.
makes me want to throw up in my mouth.
That one is nasty. Men out there, please do not do that.
do not. I don't know on what planet like people feel that would be okay or even appealing to hear.
I know. So some feminists think that catcalling is okay and that we should accept it. But Amanda, it sounds like you agree more with me
Yeah.
and Kenzie.
I really do. I feel like it is disrespectful. I feel like it intentionally puts women in an uncomfortable position where we are required to respond, and we don't know what the appropriate response is. So it actually makes us doubly uncomfortable, because if we respond in a way that we're standing up for ourselves and saying, please don't disrespect me like that, we're labeled then as bitch, or, I was just joking, can't you take a joke, etc. But, if we, what are we supposed to do? Smile? Thank you?
Right.
I don't know what the appropriate response is. So I feel like it just, it's very creepy. It makes my skin crawl. Like
Yeah.
If you were attracted to the man that did it, would that make a difference to you?
I don't think so. Like, if my husband had ever catcalled me, I would, yeah, peace out. I don't. Mm-mm.
Okay, don't do that.
Yeah.
So can you remember a story about a time that you've been catcalled?
Yeah, and yeah, so and it usually happens when I'm by myself. Like, it never seems to happen.
Right.
You know,
Agreed.
when I feel like I'm in the company of other women, and maybe that would be more comfortable, but certainly.
No, I feel like even like it's less when a man's there. So men don't believe you that this happens so often.
Yes. And so I was actually walking our dog Fritz not too long ago, maybe like 2 weeks ago, just down our street, and somebody driving by in a vehicle slowed and just like whistled out the car, and I'm like, well, like.
What are you supposed to do?
Yeah, like why extend your energy that way? Like, it's not like we're going to have some sort of positive interaction. It's just sort of, I don't know, it puts like whatever is going on for him like onto me, and it's just creepy.
Yep.
Like, so then I just want to hustle inside and get out of there because it's not comfortable. Yeah.
What do you think the reason men do it is?
Oh gosh.
We were thinking like
know.
some sort of sexual satisfaction of some sort.
But we think that whenever it's like a group of men, maybe 2 or 3 men, like in a truck slowing down, they like egg each other on a little bit,
Yes.
and
Like
maybe.
a testosterone fueling.
Like a power thing. I don't know.
But sometimes they do it individually.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure the reason other than like, just the egging each other on. I don't know.
I'm
I don't
curious
understand it.
if Desmond and Jeff ever catcalled, like when they were like
Oh.
17, or when you're
If
that
we ever have a
young,
straight man on our podcast,
we should ask them if they ever catcalled,
yeah.
or a gay man.
Yeah, have women ever like do women?
I had that one story. Yeah, I had
Oh,
I
right.
walked outside of an LGBTQ club, and I was just walking past it like it was in the middle of the day, but a lady whistled at me.
Yeah. I'm really curious if like anybody
Yeah.
that we've dated. Oh, I'm sure
I'm
have.
sure I've dated some horrible people, so I'm sure, but my husband not. So I hope that I hope that he will say he hasn't, but we'll find
Yeah,
out.
there's probably 1 or 2 of the dudes I can think of that probably did. So, have you ever been stereotyped?
Yeah, I think so. We were sort of chatting about this a little bit this morning. I think I'm the first person to get emotional about most things in life, and I think for a lot of people that comes across as like weak or like not able to stand up for myself or too sensitive, things like that. But the older I get, like the more I've certainly like honed my abilities to articulate my feelings and articulate my asks of other people. And so I think for the people that I've come into contact with that know me well, they know that certainly being weak and like a pushover is not part of my character makeup, but I think certainly like being emotional and coming across as like sensitive and compassionate can lend itself to people thinking that
I've thought that so many times.
Yeah.
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 I had a friend, and I'm no longer friends with them because it was one of those friendships I talked about that like you just grow out of, and it's not meant to be, and it's not positive for your adulthood, and they would always be like, that person was known as being a jerk, and everyone knew them as like kind of an asshole. They had no idea they were known as that, but everyone thought that. And it was like one of those friends that I had been friends with for a long time. So I was like, no, it's fine. And I just put up with it. But they would always be like, well, you're just a pushover. You're so type B. You always like bend over. I'm like, no, there's a difference between sticking up for yourself and always just being an asshole. Mm-hmm. And
Absolutely.
I was like, I am compassionate, but like if it calls for it, I will stick up for myself. But I feel like you should be few and frequent when that should be done. So I feel like when I say something, that actually means like you're doing something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like there's more power behind it when you're not always like being confrontational, but when it's
So I get that. That's how you feel like.
Yeah, I think so. And actually, it was a book by, I think it was Cheryl Strayed, love her. But she was saying that for her, like being emotional is more just like, hey, I'm present and I'm noticing what's going on. And so I was
You're
like,
empathetic.
yeah. And so I was like, oh, I like that. There's more power to that than like, oh, you're just being emotional. I'm like,
Right.
Yes, Amanda. Girl,
Yeah.
you deep.
In episode 6, we talked about the quarter life crisis. We think it's a real thing. We think that in your 20s, you go through times of depression, stress, and anxiety due to maybe having pressure on you with your career, with your finances, or with your relationships. What were your 20s like, and did you go through a quarter life crisis?
I think that my 20s were filled with all of that. Lots of anxiety and pressure to figure out like who you're going to be, and feeling like there's these milestones you're supposed to hit at certain ages, and then they come and go, and you're like, oh my goodness, I'm behind the 8 ball. And when you're a kid, it feels like, oh, by the time I'm 25, I'm gonna have like, a house and a picket fence and like 2 kids, and like I'm 34 and I don't have any of those things, and that is okay. But certainly, there's a lot of pressure to figure it out then, without a lot of skills to really figure it out, or a lot of time. So certainly, like, my 20s was about figuring out what I wanted to do with my career. That's when I went back to school. I had initially gone to school for psychology, and shout out to the psychologists that I know, they're great. But I was actually 2 years deep into going to school for psychology, to become a psychologist, and I was in the back of a cab, and the cab driver was telling me about how he also has a degree in psychology and wasn't able to use it, so started driving taxis. So that was sort of like a wake-up call for me to maybe make some changes, that, thinking it wasn't that easy to get into the career I was looking for. So I ended up doing like a bunch of different things for work, and then going back to school for psychiatric nursing, which was huge for me. I loved it. That's where I met my husband, was in nursing college, so that was huge. Narrowing down my focus for what I want in a partner certainly happened in my 20s. I already said, I dated a few different people in my 20s, and really got to figure out what it was I liked and didn't like. So that led me to Jeff, which was very helpful. But I think overall 20s are about shedding other people's like ideals and values about like who you're supposed to be, and all those like external pressures, and just sort of like coming into your own, which I'm still like doing in my 30s. I think it's like, a lifelong thing. But
no, Amanda, as soon as you turn 30, you figure it out. That's what I was telling you earlier today.
Yeah,
remember?
Absolutely. Yeah, just wait for your...
The day you turn 30, you figured it out.
Yeah, Megan, look forward to it. Yeah. Your 30th birthday, I look forward to a conversation. Yeah.
So when you said that you were in psychology, I've heard, because I really, really like psychology as well.
That was a fun class.
It was so fun. And like, I was sitting in it, and I was in accounting as well. And I was like, why am I doing accounting? Like, this is amazing. And it's so interesting. And I would love to do this. And the reason that I didn't was because of accounting. I knew that I was going to have a job. I knew exactly how much money I was going to make. I knew exactly what my pay, I'm not going to say exactly, but I had a really good idea about what pay raise I was going to make each year. And then with psychology, it's like, oh crap, like, am I going to go get my master's? Like, you pretty much have to get your master's, right?
You do, yeah.
Maybe even you have to get your doctorate even.
Yeah.
And so it's just like a really scary thing.
Can I ask you what's, just because the terms confuse me, what's the difference between psychology and psychiatric work where you're a psychiatric nurse? What does that, can you do you do similar things, or?
Yes and no. I mean, both, can work with this population, but work differently. So in psychology, you do a lot more therapy, whereas as a psychiatric nurse, it's more treatment oriented. So more like group therapy based, supporting with psychiatric medications, just supporting clients with their specific goals on a day-to-day basis, whereas psychology, like more in-depth, maybe dealing with like previous trauma or learned skills, so like behavior therapies, things like that. So it's a much more honed skill set for psychology, whereas psychiatric nursing is a bit more broad. Psychology does not involve medications typically. Psychiatry will. So very different in that regard.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
I was just curious. Okay. So what are your favorite beauty products? And just to switch it on its side, what are your 3 favorite beauty products that you cannot live without?
We kind of did that on purpose. Episode 6 was a doozy, and then episode 7 was like, we got to lighten this up.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, so I picked 3 things that I use every day because I love them. The first is a moisturizer that I just started using about a month ago, but I love it. I feel like it's so hard to find one that moisturizes but doesn't leave you greasy, etc., etc.
Oh,
so,
100% agree.
so this one's by Drunk Elephant, which is
funny.
The best name ever.
very cute. And it's called Bee Hydra Intensive Hydration Gel. But it's got pineapple in it, so it also exfoliates while you're using it. And it's cruelty-free, which is something I'm trying to switch as I run out of old products over to products that are cruelty-free. So that brand is...
Where did you get it from? I'm curious if it's just a Canadian thing.
Oh, I don't know. I got it from Sephora in Canada, so I'm not sure if it's from...
I've never seen that brand.
Yeah.
Have you?
I've never seen it, but maybe at Sephora. I wonder if they have it.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah, we have Sephora's too. Is Sephora Canadian based?
No.
It's America?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. I remember one time long ago we didn't have Sephora in Canada, and my girlfriend and I came down to Seattle, and we were so excited to go to Sephora. We just
fun.
picked up those little baskets, filled them with all sorts of...
It is a good time.
It really is a good time.
But yeah, 2 other products, also cruelty-free.
Cool.
This Anastasia Brow Wiz I use every day, even on non-makeup days.
Brows do look good.
Thank you. So I use it in taupe because I'm pretty fair, so it's a lighter brown. Love it. And then Bare Minerals Complexion Rescue is I don't know if you'd call it a BB cream, a CC cream, but it's really light. I don't know. Yeah, all over, hydrating, has some tint to it, and it also has SPF, so I use that every day.
Is all Bare Minerals cruelty free or just that one specifically?
I think it's all Bare Minerals.
Cool.
Yeah.
Now, you haven't heard our episode yet because we haven't even edited it yet, or I haven't. But so I was embarrassed to admit it, but it's something I'm trying new, and I just want to see what other people think about it. You know what I'm gonna say?
No.
Shaving.
Oh.
Okay, so apparently celebrities in Hollywood, women shave their face.
I heard this, to exfoliate.
Yeah.
And just to purely put on the makeup really well.
Wow.
I've started doing it.
And?
What do you think? I mean, feel my face. I take all the peach fuzz off. And I feel the only place you can maybe feel it is right there.
Oh, just a little bit, but the rest, I would never tell.
Yeah, and so it's these little, it's called the racer's name is weird, but it's for women's face to get the peach fuzz off, and it's called Tinkle.
So this is interesting. So, men have been shaving their faces for I don't know how long, and now
we have hair on our face. All women do. It's peach fuzz, though.
Sure, yeah, but now they have a specific women's razor.
Yeah.
Is it more expensive naturally than a regular men's
No,
razor?
and I actually sometimes don't get my eyebrows waxed because I can pluck them really well naturally, and so I just have always done it, and I've always been in this shape of my eyebrow, so I just haven't changed it because I think it looks fine, but I've been also using it around my eyebrows too.
Oh, that's risky. What if you...
It is risky. No, do it 100% when you're awake, not when you just wake up and you're or sober. But yeah, no, I love it because I get peach fuzz.
Yeah.
I do
Everyone
too.
does.
Yeah.
You know what? I read an article recently about Marilyn Monroe that she was asked to... I guess she had quite a bit of peach fuzz, and she was asked to remove it with whatever hair removal was around at that time. And she
shave it.
refused because she said that it gave her this soft glow in photos that other women couldn't replicate. So more power to you.
Yeah. So this Tinkle razor is actually cheap.
It's $5 for a 3-pack.
Oh.
And it's really tiny. So the difference
I don't know what
is
that's
that
converted to Canadian money. Maybe $8.
Yeah. It's probably
I don't know.
$100.
So they're just really tiny, and then the blade is just this tiny little thing. So and then it kind of looks like it's as long as a pencil about, and so you have a lot of room to.
Oh.
Yeah.
I was asking about cost because it's something that infuriates me, women shaving their legs, a Gillette razor versus a Gillette female versus Gillette men is going to be more expansive and more dull than the male version, and it just doesn't make sense to me. Like, why?
They should be the exact same price.
Right?
Yeah. And so this little razor's not that much.
Wow.
Tinkle did it right, unlike Gillette.
Yeah, sorry,
Oh,
Gillette.
shots fired at Gillette.
Oh,
man.
man. Oh, man. We are not going to get ads from them.
That's fine. We shouldn't accept it.
So now I wrote in my notes, shift to serious stuff with Meghan, interviewing you. It's not, I mean, it's deep. It's deep stuff. But the reason that I wanted you on this podcast because I love you and because I think that you're very well spoken and you have a really good head on your shoulders and you've got this shit down. Ooh. But something that I really wanted to focus on this podcast, which you've brought up with me in the past, is that your dad gave you completely different set of rules than your brother Desmond.
He
And
sure
Desmond,
did.
let's give context. Did we explain that you're Desmond's sister already?
I said she's my sister-in-law. So,
okay,
yeah.
Desmond's my boyfriend, my life partner.
Yes.
And
Partner for
Amanda
life.
is Desmond's sister, very close in age, about a year and a half.
Year and a bit apart, yeah.
So, man, your mom popped him out one after
She
the other.
got down on it.
And so when you mentioned this to me, I was just like, this is insane. I've never met somebody who has completely different set of rules. Sometimes it can be due to age, right? If there's a really big age gap, you're going to have different rules. As you get older, then you'll have the same rules that your sister or brother did when they were that age. But you guys were practically the exact same age, if you think about it.
Absolutely, yeah. We had like the same group of friends.
From my perspective, it's weird because I only had a sister and then Megan's an only child. So like, I don't know. I've never asked my girlfriends who have brothers what it's like.
Yeah. So can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah.
Well, first I find it interesting that I guess I never really thought about it, but maybe my brother never shared with you that there was a different set of rules. So it's interesting that it's clearly more impactful to me than it is to him.
Definitely.
To have these different sets of rules. But so growing up, I think my dad really ascribed to gender roles, like pink and blue jobs. So, to put it blatantly, sorry.
We're next to Sirens, if you can pick up on them.
Oh, yeah.
We're in downtown Seattle for this one.
I was supposed to be like cleaning and learning how to cook, whereas like I wasn't allowed to, like literally wasn't allowed to mow the lawn or shovel the snow in the driveway from Canada. And so there was that certainly. And
Why? I'm going to be interrupting you here and there.
Sure.
Why? Why is that different?
Why is it? Good question. I would ask, and I never got a clear answer. It just is because I said so. Yeah. So, good segue, because I also feel like my brother was able to ask pointed questions and have more of a voice and challenge my father, whereas I wasn't really encouraged to do that. It was just accept what my dad said.
So if Desmond asked your father why, he would get an answer.
That's my perception. I don't know if my brother would wholeheartedly agree, but certainly it felt that way to me. And so little things like I had to be home earlier than my brother did. And I was given the reason because I was a girl. And so I also had to be more explicit about exactly where I was going when I was going out with friends. I had, I'm going to be here for this time to this time, and then we're going to go do this, etc. And whereas my brother could just be like, going out, see you later. And it was aggravating and, just really challenging. And I would even say my dad would say I was probably 16, and he'd be like, you have to be home at 9 o'clock. And I'd be like, well, what about 9:30? And he'd be like, how about 8:30? So that was how our conversations went. And whereas my brother just, again, I'm going out, see you later. And
did he have to be home by midnight or just whenever?
I think it was a set time, but it was certainly later.
It was later.
And if he didn't meet curfew, that was okay. Whereas if I didn't meet curfew, I wasn't able to go out the following day.
Really?
Yeah. And
was that explicitly said?
It was shown. They didn't, we didn't sit down to dinner and talk about how things are going to be different because he's a boy and I'm a girl, but it was It was definitely evident in and how we were treated. And I think, you know what, I think my dad just ascribed to these. I think that's how he was raised, was that, you know, men are, you know, able or safer out on their own. You know, he gave me this impression that, like, being a female and being out was very dangerous, and yeah, which is so bizarre to me. But, you know, and our punishments would be different for things. Like, so I was telling a story to Meghan about, we must have been, like, we were young. We were in a small town where, you know, there wasn't much to do. So unfortunately, people did, you know, go, like, they started drinking young and things like that, drinking alcohol. And so my brother had came home one night and was clearly past curfew and was intoxicated, and that was cool. My dad was just like, oh yeah, good night, have a good sleep. And then like a year later, like, found out that I had been drinking alcohol, and I was grounded for longer than a month. So just very, very different.
And then Desmond was just like, oh,
And you
cool.
were the same age.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. Yeah, so it was super interesting, frustrating at the time. But yeah, I think my dad just didn't know any better. That's what I like to think.
Tell about the time that he came to the pool.
Oh, like, he would sometimes check up on me to make sure that I was, like, where I said I was going. Like, if I said I'm going to, like, swim night with friends, he would be there to check that I was there.
Do you feel like, and I am definitely a feminist, so I think everything he did was wrong, but do you feel like there's any validity to the fact that women have to be more intimidated to go out? We don't have to be, and it shouldn't be like that. It shouldn't. But I know that I won't go on a run when it's dark.
Right.
And I know men don't think about that. Do you think there's any validity to that fear?
I think that fear breeds fear in us women. I feel like, you know, it created this sense that I should be fearful of things, and that I'm not able to handle situations on my own if I don't have a man there. And, you know, maybe that's a societal thing. Maybe that's just, like, a me thing. But certainly, I don't feel like there's that much to fear. Maybe I wouldn't go for a run at night either, but I'm not sure if it's fair to say that every man would too. I don't know.
I've expressed it to, like, men in my life that I don't go on night runs for that specific reason. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, I've been in the news. I saw a lot of, like, female treatment, and that's actually going to be a future episode, like, rape culture.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Which is going to be a deep one. But, you know, it's, you know, I don't know. I feel scared. I feel scared to go at nighttime, and I feel scared to be in the city by myself. Like, when Meg and I were walking, actually, the other night, earlier this week, we were walking to get dinner, and we passed, like, a bunch of places where it was just Meg and I was, like, scared subconsciously. I didn't, like, voice it, but I was still scared walking.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Even in the daylight?
Mm-hmm.
I think that one, I probably, whenever I first moved here, I probably was in the same shoes as you, but that one you get over. Like, once you're in the city long enough, you just, like, don't think about it. I don't know.
And I think maybe too, like, there's a way to go about it. Like, instead of just transferring fears, like transferring my dad's fears for my safety onto me, maybe just empowering me to make smart decisions and empowering me to do what I needed to do to be safe would be setting me up for better success than telling me just that I can't
afraid all the time.
Handle myself.
Maybe just articulate the fact that rape is real. Mm-hmm. It is a real thing.
Yep.
Yeah. But like, not even rape, sexual harassment, it could be anything, but, like, we get sexually harassed by catcalling when we're by ourselves. Mm-hmm. But just kind of educating you that it's there, but how to prevent it, or how to fight, like, go to karate, I don't know. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, how to defend yourself rather than how to be scared of it.
Yeah, he could have bought you some pepper spray.
Yeah. Didn't Desmond sometimes have to, if you were out, he would have to walk to where you were and walk you home then?
I don't remember that.
I think Desmond told me that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe.
That if you were out and then your dad would be like, go pick up Amanda because you were probably just down the street or something.
Yeah.
And then he would have to walk and
Interesting. Maybe. Yeah. I mean, could very well be, and I just don't remember. But I mean, we're in a small town. I mean, maybe a cougar would get me, but like not like an actual animal cougar.
Yeah.
But not like, yeah, there was nothing really to be terrified of. So.
Interesting.
Did your mom ever confront your dad about these differences?
No, I think like, I think my mom had a pretty good idea of who she was marrying, and ascribed also to the same rules.
So she defended your father.
Not overtly, but she didn't challenge it either. And I think, I think people who, like my father, would surround themselves by people who abide by his set of rules. And so that's what he did. And for a time, my mom also ascribed to those rules in order to keep the peace. She knew what she signed up for a little bit. And, certainly.
Do you think she did, though? Because you guys didn't have kids whenever they were first married. So I wonder if she didn't know what she was signing up for.
Yeah, and maybe I should clarify. Like, I'm not saying that in a judgmental way, but more just, I think she was aware of what she needed to do to keep peace in order to, like she was happy to follow not happy. She did what she needed to do in order to
have a smooth evening.
Yeah.
So did she kind of just ignore it and just act like it wasn't happening, or she wouldn't say anything?
Yeah, she was not the rule maker or enforcer out of the two parents. It was certainly my dad, and if something happened, it was like, oh, we need your dad needs to talk to you.
So would you ever talk to your mom, and what did you ever say, Mom, this is really unfair? Like if it was just you and your mom alone?
Not really. Like as a kid, honestly, I was just taught either directly or indirectly, or learned this behavior of not challenging what was going on. Just
you kind of just thought it was life, maybe?
Yeah.
Like you just thought that's the way it was.
A little bit. Like as I got older, it was frustrating, and I would try and challenge it, but that actually complicated things for me. So just sort of like learned behavior not to challenge it at that time in my life.
So when you were dating, were there different rules for dating?
Oh, I didn't even talk to my parents about dating. Like that was something I didn't.
Did they bring it up? Did your dad say you're not allowed to date until something, or?
Probably. I think actually when I was really young, I had said like, "Oh, am I allowed to have a boyfriend?" And it was no. And I was like, "Okay, well, I'll just keep that a secret then." Like, so just like learned behavior. But yeah, no, never really like discussed relationships, even like as I was growing up.
Did Desmond discuss his dating and relationships?
I don't think so.
Because he had a high school girlfriend.
Nothing past the surface of like, yeah, we're dating. That's.
Did she come over and have dinner with y'all?
Yeah.
But did you have a high school boyfriend? And did he come over and have dinner with you?
Oh.
Really?
No.
That's different.
But keep in mind, my parents split up when I was about 15 or 16 too. But I felt like I was old enough to kind of have a good understanding of why they were splitting up, and I was like, more power to you, Mom. And so it was like a good thing. But my brother had his girlfriend over after they had split up. Like, so not like before, like that wasn't really a thing we did. But afterwards, like my mom is certainly like, she's like warm and loving and loves to have people over and feed people food, as you know.
Yes.
Certainly I think that made things more comfortable. Yeah.
Cool. What? I can't read, Meghan.
How has this impacted you in your adult life?
Well, I think initially, so on a pendulum of like, accept everything that's going on around you and don't challenge anything, and like all the way on the other side, like challenge everything and be confrontational, I probably initially swung full tilt the other way and was, just like fighting my voice and not realizing that being assertive like meant being that you were able to be assertive while still being calm and respectful and mindful and sensitive. So swung the other way probably for a couple years as a teenager, which I think, maybe that's just
it's
a byproduct
normal,
of being a teenager. And then now have really just like, over the years, like really honed what it is that's important to me, my voice, like making sure that I give space for that. I surround myself with people who allow me to do that, or who are receptive when I ask them to do that. I really surround myself by like open-minded people who are like, happy for me to have a voice, and super respectful. So I really feel like I make a concerted effort to make sure that my voice is heard, like in every interaction. I mean, like Jeff knows I like to talk things to death sometimes.
Yeah.
To make sure that like I'm very clear, and also that he's able to be very clear in sort of what we want out of a situation or a circumstance. So I feel like it's actually like helped me sort of like find that place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
So this kind of leads me into the next question, because Desmond and I don't want to have kids, but we always say, oh, what if we had a daughter? Would you give her these super strict set of rules? And he's like, yes, of course, a woman belongs in the home. And he's like
Please.
totally kidding, but
Because he knows it
He
will
knows.
grind your gears.
yeah, and he knows that Amanda's going to be on this podcast talking about it. And so he's just like, yeah, our son doesn't have to have any rules at all, but the girl, she has to be home by 7. And he just like eggs it on nonstop.
That's so funny.
And so I was curious if you and Jeff have ever talked about it, and if you guys were to have kids, if you've talked about establishing rules and what that would look like if it was a boy versus a girl.
I don't think we've talked about it like explicitly. I think, certainly Jeff knows like where I come from, and that equality is very important to me. And I think also like he really admires my drive to always like talk about the unspeakable issues and make sure we're speaking about exactly what needs to be spoken and addressing things like head on and not really shying away from that. So which I love that he admires that about me. So I would hope that he would also like want that for a daughter, and also for a man. I think you can teach a young man to encourage the women around him and himself to have a voice, and maybe like challenge gender stereotypes, like encourage like a young man or a young boy to express his emotions, and that's okay, and not to have no shame around it, but just everyone just like be themselves.
Yeah, because there is sexist things on the men. Like
Yeah.
there is like you can't be sensitive, you can't enjoy looking good, like presenting your, or you'll be too feminine if you like spending time on how you look. There's a lot of things that kind of differentiate.
It's true.
Absolutely. We talk a lot about them like for women, and I think maybe they're more overt for women, but certainly there's lots of things even like about body image for men, or certainly you spoke, Kenzie, about appearance. Like any man who spends time on their appearance. I remember growing up as a teenager, and like the first guy I knew that had waxed his eyebrows, like everybody was like, they looked fantastic, by the way, but everybody was making fun of him, like especially his bros were calling him out for having his eyebrows done, and like the women were like, they look great.
You just wanted to have cool eyebrows,
right? Yeah,
a dude just wanted to look nice. That's good. That's cool.
Yeah, so the hope is that we would be able to, figure things out in order to be equal. And actually, my best friend Lindsay, her and her husband do a fantastic job. They have one son and one daughter, and seeing them empower their kids to be their true selves and ask all the questions and challenge the adults in the room is certainly like good people to learn lessons from. So.
Yeah, and I just have things to relate from my experience. Like when I was little, it wasn't like stress. Like you have to like princesses and stuff. Like we loved Disney, and we had Disney throughout the house, so princesses were a part of it. But like I also had Hot Wheels, and I had a huge collection of Hot Wheels that I freaking loved when I was little. And then I pretended, instead of being Nala from the movie Simba Nala, I thought Simba was more cool and powerful and spunky, and so I always pretended I was Simba.
Oh, cool.
Good choice.
And my parents never said that was weird. They never,
You know what I did whenever I was little? Mine's different. I'm a super, super girly girl, so I did not have Hot Wheels. But whenever I was in the store, there was like an African American baby with black skin and then a white baby with white skin. And I was like, Mom, I want the one with darker skin. And my mom was like, okay. And so I just had I had like a couple of babies with different colored skin, and I just think
should be how it is.
Yeah.
I picked out, talking about that, I picked out all the, like I liked the Asian dolls, so my mom would always get me little Asian baby dolls instead of, white. I just like them.
I think it's good. You should have everyone. Rather than being like, oh, you have blonde hair, so you need to get the blonde one. Or
you should never say that to a child.
Yeah.
That's horrible.
Kenzie's just placing down the law.
Never say that to children.
One of our friends had also a young boy and a young girl, and she, when they were younger, got Netflix specifically so that her kids never saw commercials, because she didn't want her kids to see that girls were only playing with My Little Pony and boys were only playing with trucks. So she was trying to create this equality amongst her two kids, just that they could play with Hot Wheels and things like, but recognizing also that, you know, media and commercials are so influential to kids. She didn't want her kids to see that. So I thought that was kind of an interesting strategy.
That is a really cool
and
thing.
Personally, and I get where people are coming from a little bit, but like Target did this initiative. I think Target's done a lot of great things recently when it comes to equality type things, like, you know, letting people use the bathroom or whatever, and they were the first ones to kind of say, like, whenever the bathroom controversy for transgender people came out, they were one of the first people to speak out and say, we don't care. But they also now don't label it like girls versus boys.
Nice.
They
for
just
sections.
label it kids.
Yeah. So for the toy section, maybe for the clothing, but like for the toy section, they don't label it anything.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. One doll I hate though is Bratz dolls. Those they just are terrible influences, I feel like, but it's
We're
fine.
calling
That's my
everything out
my own
today.
beef with the Bratz dolls. You shouldn't be calling your child a brat, and
That's kinda
there's
true.
just so many things like.
You would never have a boy brat, like Bratz.
Yeah, and they
Bratz
kind
boy
of
doll.
and they kind of are like, not that like it's fine that the clothing is short, but like they don't have careers. At least Barbie, even though Barbie does have a lot of stereotypes with with being skinny and body type, at least Barbies have careers. And it's not just these skirts and that's it. You know? Not that there's anything wrong with skirts, but you know what I mean.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like Barbie can be a vet one day and then a dentist the next.
Yeah,
That's
Where
right.
brats are just like, what are you doing?
Although I will say Barbie is a bit of an over-sexualized, you know, vet or dentist
I
or
think
nurse.
they're trying to be
Like,
better, though.
Are they?
They've made a conscious effort. Oh, yeah, they came out with a commercial that just showed boys playing with Barbie dolls.
Oh, cool.
Fantastic.
So they're trying. I think they
Yeah.
got some new marketing people. So
They're
it's
trying.
to switch up.
Cool.
Cool. So we do one good thing, though.
Yeah. So, Kenz, what's your good thing for the week?
I would say branching out and getting new glasses, because I was
Yes.
very close to picking these frames that were like the same as the ones I had already for like 4 years. And the whole reason I kind of wanted to go, well, one, my vision has gone to poop like during the past 6 months. But I also was like, I need to spice it up. And I almost picked out the same frames basically. And then the guy Boris, was the guy helping me
That's a
shop for
fantastic
glasses.
name.
He's Russian. And Boris was like, oh no, you look gorgeous in these. And they're pretty different. And I'm like, okay, Boris, I'll take your word for it.
I want to see them so bad.
I'll put up a thing. Here,
Okay.
I'll show him right now. And then we'll put up a link right now. So
All right, let's see if Boris knows
Let's
what
see
he's
if
talking
Boris
about.
knew what he was talking about.
Did I delete him? Let me see. I'm pretty sure I sent him to Chelsea.
What color are they?
They're these.
Oh, they are cute.
How would you describe them? Do you feel like they
Um,
look like 60s glasses?
Like 60s librarian.
And then
Yeah.
they're dark on the top and then clear on the bottom.
Yeah.
Is that
and
a
then
gold
these-
frame? Like around the bottom?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then these were the ones I was going to get.
Oh,
Meg,
no.
are those similar?
Those are similar to
Yeah.
what you already have.
Boris made a good call.
Boris, you did a really good job. Where did you go?
Like a Pearl Vision.
Oh, that's it?
Yeah, in Issaquah.
Oh,
Nice.
cool.
Shout outs to the Pearl Vision in Issaquah. We're not sponsored, but I wouldn't be mind to be sponsored by Pearl Vision.
You look fly in those glasses, and Boris did a good job.
Okay, shouts out to Boris randomly. Okay, so what's your good thing, Amanda?
I mentioned it earlier, but you know, I just got a new bike, and it's a really cute mint green Townie. So it's very vintage looking. Just
Cute.
would look perfect with a basket. I keep joking to Jeff that I'm going to try and teach our dog Fritz how to ride in the basket.
Toto.
He's a
Little
bit
Toto.
skeptical, right? Yeah.
Fritz does actually look like Toto.
A little bit, yeah. He also gets told that he looks like the Grinch's dog.
Oh,
yeah,
he
does.
does.
He's so cute. He's super friendly little guy.
So I would like to get him some goggles and, you know, put him in the basket. But yeah, I'm super excited just to check out more of our hood on bike. And my husband really likes pedal biking, so I'm excited to be able to catch up with him because my previous bike was really old and it was a used bike and the gears didn't shift. So I feel now like I can actually keep up. In fact, I beat him on a race recently.
Oh, cool.
Oh, girl, got it.
I got a bit of a head start, but that's fine. So yeah, I'm really excited just to be doing more cycling in the neighborhood.
Cool. My good thing is my birthday this week was really one of the best birthdays I've had.
Really?
Yes,
Aww.
it was so good. And so I'm just excited because Amanda got me this astrology Bible, and I want to read it and tell everybody what their signs mean and everything.
After this is what I'm going to make you do. After we're done, I'm going to make you open it and
You get
read
to
our signs.
diagnosis.
So I'm really excited, and I can start telling people what their signs mean.
Cool. Well, it's been a good week. So what's our quote for this week, Megan, since Kenzie's terrible looking up at quotes?
So this one was kind of funny. We found it this morning. It's from a man, William Golding, and he says, "I think women are foolish to pretend they are equal to men. They are far superior and always have been." We don't think we're superior, but it's just a really funny quote.
It's just cute.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. Well, thank you so much for listening. Make sure to subscribe on the platform that you prefer for listening to podcasts. Make sure to rate us because that's important. And follow us on Insta, Twitter, and Facebook, which Megan runs, and she does a killer job.
Our Instagram is really fun. Our Twitter, people tweet back at me or something. But on Instagram,
Megan
they
and I
comment.
are both bad at Twitter. I'm just
We
going
are
to put you under the
not
bus
good
too.
at Twitter.
Both of us, that's not our thing. But we have one and we're trying.
We're trying.
So tweet at us and we'll tweet more.
And if somebody has some tips about Twitter, because we
throw them.
give them to us, because for some
fellas.
reason we're good at Instagram, but Twitter we're really slacking.
Yeah, I just have nothing to say. Anyway, thanks for listening. We love you. Thank you, Amanda. Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much for having me. It was fun, guys.
Okay, bye.
Bye.